Kansas may seem like a flat landscape of wheat fields and endless sky, but buried beneath its soil are secrets that baffle science and defy explanation. From lost cities erased by time to mysterious carvings in stone and whispers of giant bones hidden in the earth, the Sunflower State carries mysteries as vast as its plains. Imagine civilizations that thrived here long before history was written, leaving behind only fragments that scientists struggle to piece together. These mysteries aren't fairy tales. They're discoveries, ruins, and artifacts that raise more questions than answers. What if Kansas holds keys to civilizations forgotten by time? What if its legends are rooted in ancient truths? Backhand index pointing right before we uncover these hidden stories. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Join us as we dive into the unsolved ancient mysteries of Kansas. Truths buried beneath prairie winds, waiting for curious minds like yours to uncover them. The ancient city of Etzanoa. One of the greatest mysteries of Kansas is the lost city of Etzanoa, once home to more than 20,000 people. Spanish explorers in the early 1600s described a sprawling civilization near present-day Arkansas City, filled with houses, plazas, and thriving communities. They called it the Great Settlement. Yet, centuries later, the city was gone. Its inhabitants vanished like smoke. Archaeologists uncover pottery shards, tools, and faint traces of structures, but no massive ruins remain to prove its grandeur. How could such a vast settlement simply disappear? Some believe European diseases devastated the people, others think they migrated elsewhere, but no definitive evidence explains the silence. Were they connected to Cahokia, the Mississippian mound builders, or an entirely separate culture? Could Etzanoa be just one piece of a forgotten civilization that spanned far beyond Kansas? Science scratches the surface, but the mystery of Etzanoa continues to echo across the plains, whispering of a lost American city history never recorded. The Kansas petroglyphs. Carved into the sandstone cliffs of central Kansas are ancient petroglyphs, enigmatic images left by hands we no longer know. These carvings depict animals, celestial patterns, and mysterious symbols that defy simple interpretation. Some appear to represent constellations, suggesting ancient astronomers watched the night sky with careful precision. Others show human-like figures, perhaps shamans recording spiritual visions. Archaeologists estimate many of these carvings date back more than 1,000 years, but their creators remain unidentified. Were they records of tribal stories, ceremonial maps, or calendars marking the solstices? Even more puzzling, some carvings don't match known Native American styles, sparking debate about whether an older, forgotten culture passed through Kansas long before. Researchers admit they can't fully decode the meanings, leaving the petroglyphs as silent storytellers. The cliffs stand like ancient books written in a language we cannot read, guarding knowledge about Kansas' prehistoric past that modern science still struggles to unlock. The lost tribes and legends. Long before Kansas was mapped or settled, Native nations told stories of ancient peoples who lived in the land. The Kansa, Osage, and Wichita preserved oral traditions describing powerful tribes that vanished mysteriously. Some tales speak of giants who roamed the plains, while others describe strange people who disappeared into the earth, leaving behind sacred mounds and cryptic markings. These legends blur the line between history and mythology, but time and again, science finds fragments of truth hidden in oral traditions. Could the stories refer to real civilizations erased from memory? Were these legends describing mound builders who lived centuries earlier, or people we still have yet to identify? Scholars admit that Kansas oral traditions may hold keys to understanding the region's ancient past. As archaeologists dig deeper, the voices of lost tribes seem to grow louder, suggesting that Kansas' forgotten histories are far more complex than science once believed. The Kansas mounds. Scattered across the plains of Kansas are mysterious earthen mounds, silent reminders of ancient societies. Some have been identified as burial sites, while others may have served ceremonial or astronomical purposes. Unlike the towering Mississippian mounds of Illinois or Ohio, Kansas mounds are smaller, more subtle, and often eroded almost flat by centuries of weather. Yet excavations reveal pottery, tools, and human remains buried within, hinting at sophisticated traditions of ritual and belief. Some align with solstices and celestial events, suggesting that their builders understood the movements of the stars. But who built them and when? Were they connected to the Hopewell culture, the Mississippians, or an entirely separate society unique to Kansas? Many mounds remain unstudied, slowly disappearing into farmland and prairie grass. Each one represents a puzzle piece from a culture we know only in fragments, raising questions about what else lies hidden beneath the Kansas plains. The Kansas River mystery. The Kansas River has long been more than just water. It may have been a sacred artery for ancient civilizations. Along its winding banks, archaeologists uncover traces of settlements thousands of years old. But stranger discoveries also emerge. Stone tools of unusual design, artifacts without clear origin, and natural formations that some claim resemble ancient walls or foundations. Mainstream science explains these formations as fractured limestone shaped by water and time. Yet others wonder if they are remnants of long-lost architecture buried beneath layers of sediment. Could floods have erased evidence of entire communities? Some local stories speak of ancient villages drowned by the river's shifting course. Each year, as erosion reshapes the riverbanks, more fragments of Kansas' hidden past emerge. Pottery, bones, and unexplainable objects hinting at a story we don't fully understand. The Kansas River may still be holding its deepest secrets beneath its restless currents. The Smoky Hill Chalk Pyramids. In western Kansas, the Smoky Hill Chalk Formations, also called the Chalk Pyramids or Monument Rocks, rise like ghostly fortresses. Shaped by ancient seas more than 80 million years ago, these massive white pillars dominate the flat landscape with surreal beauty. But legends suggest they may be more than natural wonders. Fossils of strange marine reptiles, mosasaurs, and other prehistoric creatures lie embedded in their chalk walls. Native stories tell of monsters haunting these cliffs, spirits that once guarded sacred lands. Some visitors claim to sense a mysterious energy here, as if the rocks remember a past beyond science. Geologists insist erosion alone created them, yet others wonder if ancient peoples saw these formations as sacred markers or even altered them. Are the chalk pyramids purely geological marvels, or do they hold evidence of human meaning lost to time? Standing against the Kansas wind, they keep their secrets close. The giant bones of Kansas. For generations, Kansas has been linked with stories of giant skeletons unearthed from its soil. In the 1800s, newspapers reported farmers and railroad workers uncovering massive human-like remains, some said to measure over 8 feet tall. While mainstream scholars often dismiss these as exaggerations or misidentified animal bones, the sheer number of accounts is difficult to ignore. Native legends also speak of towering beings who once walked the plains, fierce and powerful. Could these stories and discoveries be connected? Skeptics argue giant skeletons were myth, while believers insist they point to a forgotten race erased from history. No verified skeletons remain in museums today, fueling both doubt and curiosity. Were these simply tall individuals? Or could ancient Kansas truly have been home to giants science cannot explain? Until definitive evidence emerges, the mystery of Kansas giant bones continues to stir imagination across the plains. The buried stone walls. Beneath Kansas soil, strange stories persist of buried stone walls uncovered by farmers and builders. Near Salina and other areas, workers claim to strike enormous walls of neatly stacked stones, stretching for hundreds of feet underground. Some believed they had found fortifications or the remains of lost cities. Geologists countered, saying these were naturally fractured limestone formations, split into blocks by erosion and pressure. Yet the accounts describe symmetry and construction too precise to dismiss easily. If natural, the formations are remarkable. If artificial, they suggest an ancient culture with advanced stoneworking skills. Few of these walls have been formally excavated, leaving their true nature unresolved. Are they Kansas' version of America's other out-of-place ruins, or just illusions of geology? Until more scientific study is done, the buried stone walls remain one of Kansas' most intriguing and unexplained underground mysteries. The Cahokia connection. Kansas lies just west of one of America's most mysterious civilizations, Cahokia, near present-day Illinois. At its height 1,000 years ago, Cahokia rivaled medieval European cities, with 40,000 people, pyramidal mounds, and vast trade networks. Archaeologists have found artifacts in Kansas suggesting contact or influence from Cahokia, including pottery styles and trade goods. But here lies the puzzle. If Cahokia's influence reached Kansas, why do we find only scattered remnants and no monumental mounds? Was Kansas part of Cahokia's wider network, perhaps home to satellite settlements? Or did its people develop unique cultures that traded with Cahokia? Some evidence hints at shared beliefs and rituals, but gaps remain. Did Kansas communities collapse when Cahokia fell, or did they preserve traditions science hasn't recognized yet? The Cahokia connection places Kansas inside a bigger, unsolved mystery of North America's forgotten civilizations. The ancient earthworks mystery. Hidden in Kansas fields and river valleys are traces of ancient earthworks, embankments, ridges, and shapes barely visible today. Farmers often plowed them flat, but aerial photography and satellite scans reveal patterns too deliberate to be random. Some appear circular, suggesting ceremonial enclosures, while others look like defensive structures. Who built them and when? Unlike the larger mounds in the Ohio Valley, Kansas earthworks remain poorly studied, often dismissed as natural or agricultural. Yet excavations sometimes reveal artifacts and burials within, proving human design. Could they be remnants of a larger cultural system that extended across the Great Plains? Did they serve as sacred sites aligned with stars, or practical defenses against enemies? Science struggles to answer because so much evidence has already been erased by farming and time. Still, these faint marks on Kansas soil hint at ancient engineering and lost cultural complexity far beyond what's recorded in textbooks. The Wichita legends of hidden cities. Among the Wichita people, legends tell of hidden cities that once dotted the plains of Kansas. These stories speak of vast settlements with grand lodges, markets, and powerful leaders. Yet unlike Etsanoa, these cities have left almost no trace. Could entire civilizations have risen and fallen here, leaving only memory behind? Some researchers believe the Wichita tales preserve history that archaeology hasn't uncovered yet, perhaps pointing to sites buried beneath centuries of prairie soil. Others suggest the stories are symbolic, teaching about migration and resilience. But when combined with Spanish records of great settlements and scattered artifacts across Kansas, the legends feel less like myth and more like history, waiting to be proven. Did ancient Kansas host multiple lost cities beyond Etzanoa, swallowed by time and rivers? Science can't yet confirm, but the Wichita stories keep curiosity alive, urging us to keep searching. Fossil oddities and ancient tools. Kansas is famous for its fossils, from giant mosasaurs to flying pterosaurs. But occasionally, discoveries blur the line between natural history and human mystery. Reports exist of strange stone tools embedded within fossil layers, suggesting they may predate known human occupation. Mainstream science dismisses many of these as coincidences or misidentifications. Yet, every so often, objects surface that seem out of place. Worked stones, odd carvings, or artifacts in contexts far older than they should be. Did ancient people live in Kansas far earlier than science currently recognizes? Could unknown cultures have interacted with prehistoric animals, later fossilized together? While controversial, these out-of-place finds fuel speculation about chapters of Kansas past lost entirely to conventional history. Even if most are natural anomalies, they remind us how fragile our understanding of time truly is. Kansas fossil beds may hold more than bones. They may hide human secrets we've yet to decode. Alignments with the stars. Some Kansas archaeological sites reveal alignments with the heavens, suggesting ancient skywatchers lived here. Certain mounds and petroglyphs appear oriented toward solstices or lunar events. For example, circles of stones found in parts of Kansas resemble calendars, similar to medicine wheels of the northern plains. Were these intentional observatories, helping ancient peoples track planting seasons or ceremonial dates? Or were they simply coincidences of placement? Scholars remain divided. The precision of some alignments, however, makes dismissal difficult. Ancient cultures worldwide built monuments aligned with the sky, Stonehenge, Chaco Canyon, Cahokia. Why not Kansas too? The prairie sky offers a vast, unobstructed view, perfect for stargazing and sacred connection. The evidence suggests ancient Kansans saw the cosmos as more than background. They may have woven it into their spirituality and daily survival. Science can't yet reconstruct the full system, but Kansas star alignments hint at a deep cosmic knowledge. The cave enigmas. While Kansas is not known for massive caves like Kentucky or Missouri, it does have smaller limestone caverns, and with them come mysteries. Some contain strange markings resembling ancient symbols, while others hold legends of being sacred or inhabited by mysterious beings. Farmers in the 1800s reported finding unusual artifacts in caves, though many were lost or undocumented. Could Kansas caves have served as ceremonial spaces, refuges, or hidden burial chambers? Native stories sometimes speak of people who vanished underground, a myth that resonates with the idea of hidden cave dwellers. While science has not confirmed such tales, the caves remain unexplored compared to other states. Kansas cave enigmas remind us that even beneath flat landscapes, secrets may hide in shadowy chambers. Whether natural shelters or places of mystery, the caves keep their secrets tightly sealed, waiting for rediscovery. Ancient trade routes. Artifacts found in Kansas suggest it was once part of vast prehistoric trade networks. Obsidian from the Rockies, shells from the Gulf Coast, and copper from the Great Lakes have all been discovered in the Midwest. Kansas, sitting in the heart of the continent, may have been a crossroads where goods, ideas, and beliefs were exchanged. Yet how organized were these routes and who controlled them? Did Kansas serve as a hub connecting cultures from Mexico to Canada? The evidence implies ancient people traveled and traded far more extensively than textbooks suggest. But what settlements facilitated this exchange? Were places like Etsanoa major trade centers, or do undiscovered Kansas? Cities remain hidden beneath farmland? Science knows trade existed, but the full scale of Kansas' role remains uncharted. Its plains may once have been highways of commerce and culture, a forgotten center of an interconnected ancient America. The mystery of ancient fires. In parts of Kansas, archaeologists have discovered layers of ancient burned earth, suggesting massive fires swept across settlements or ceremonial grounds. Some appear intentional, controlled burns for farming or ritual cleansing. Others seem destructive, wiping out entire villages. But in some cases, the burned layers are so widespread and deep that they raise questions. Were these fires natural prairie blazes, or signs of conflict, warfare, or catastrophic events? Some theorists suggest ancient superfires may have reshaped the land, erasing evidence of cultures before us. Without clear records, the cause remains mysterious. Did ancient Kansas societies harness fire for spiritual or agricultural mastery, or were they victims of uncontrollable flames? Science continues to analyze these layers, but their meaning remains uncertain. Fire leaves behind traces, but not explanations, making Kansas' ancient burned earth one of its least understood archaeological puzzles. The Flint Hills mystery. The Flint Hills are one of Kansas' most striking landscapes, with rolling grasslands and flint-studded soil. For thousands of years, indigenous peoples prized this stone for making weapons and tools. Quarries here reveal long histories of use, but they also raise mysteries. Some sites show evidence of intense, organized mining far beyond simple survival needs. Could the Flint Hills have been centers of trade or ritual significance? Some archaeologists suggest Flint may have held spiritual power, not just practical value. Others believe the abundance of flint tools scattered across the region points to a population density greater than history records. Were there once great centers of culture? In the Flint Hills, now lost to erosion and time, the land still whispers of its ancient importance, hinting that these hills were once more than just prairie. They were central to Kansas' forgotten story. The ancient stone circles. In certain parts of Kansas, archaeologists and explorers have identified stone circles, arrangements of rocks that may have served ceremonial or astronomical functions. Some resemble teepees' stone bases, but others seem larger, more complex, and deliberately aligned. Are they remnants of campsites, or evidence of sacred spaces tied to the sky? Similar stone circles in Wyoming and Colorado were used to track celestial events, and some in Kansas may serve the same purpose. Scholars debate their function, but their intentionality is difficult to dismiss. Did ancient peoples here build observatories of stone, connecting with the heavens above the prairie? Were they markers of community gatherings or boundaries of sacred ground? The mystery of Kansas stone circles remains unresolved, but their quiet presence on the plains suggests a deeper relationship between its early inhabitants and the cosmos. Of the Osage and the sky beings. The Osage people, whose ancestral lands included Kansas, tell stories of sky beings, mysterious visitors connected to stars. Some legends describe them as teachers who brought knowledge, while others portray them as powerful, dangerous figures. Could these stories preserve memories of ancient encounters, whether with otherworldly visitors or extraordinary humans from distant cultures? Skeptics see only mythology, but oral traditions often encode real experiences. The Osage tales resonate with global myths of sky gods and star beings. Were they symbolic, teaching about celestial cycles, or literal memories of encounters that defy modern understanding? Archaeologists can't prove such stories, but they highlight how ancient Kansas people saw themselves in connection to the sky. The Osage narratives add another layer of mystery to the plains, suggesting that Kansas was not just land, but a stage where heaven and earth may have once touched. The ancient underground tunnels. Whispers persist of underground tunnels beneath parts of Kansas, discovered during early settlement. Some stories describe networks stretching miles, with stone-lined passages and hidden chambers. Farmers claim to uncover them when plowing fields or building homes. Mainstream science dismisses these as natural caves or erosion channels, but believers insist some were artificial. If true, who built them and why? Were they for refuge, ritual, or connecting hidden communities? Without formal excavation, the stories remain unverified. Yet the consistency of accounts across the state suggests something lies beneath Kansas soil. Could ancient peoples have engineered secret passageways, now forgotten by time? Science has no firm answer, leaving the underground Kansas tunnels one of its strangest unsolved enigmas. The Great Disappearance. Time and again, Kansas reveals evidence of thriving ancient communities. Mounds, earthworks, petroglyphs, artifacts. Yet so often, these peoples simply vanished. By the time Europeans arrived, entire civilizations had disappeared. Why? Was it disease, carried along trade routes from distant lands? Climate shifts that dried rivers and thinned bison herds? Conflict with incoming groups? Or something more mysterious? Catastrophes we can't yet explain? Archaeology pieces together fragments, but much remains guesswork. The sheer scale of disappearance suggests not just isolated collapse, but sweeping change across the plains. Kansas, once a land of bustling settlements, became seemingly empty within a few centuries. The Great Disappearance remains one of its most haunting unsolved mysteries, a silence in the archaeological record that science has yet to fill. Science's struggle with Kansas mysteries. Science has uncovered much in Kansas: pottery, bones, fossils, carving. But so often the big questions remain unanswered. Was Etzanoa truly a city of 20,000? Were the giant bones real or misinterpretations? Are Kansas stone walls natural geology or ancient architecture? Each discovery raises as many questions as answers. Skeptics argue for natural explanations, while others believe history hides deeper truths. What is certain is that Kansas mysteries defy easy categorization. They challenge assumptions that the Great Plains were empty, that advanced civilizations never thrived here, that the past was simple. Instead, Kansas whispers of complexity, of knowledge and people lost to time. Science struggles not because Kansas lacks history, but because its history refuses to fit tidy explanations. And perhaps that is the greatest mystery of all. Kansas may look like endless grass and farmland today, but its soil is layered with stories that science cannot fully explain. Lost cities like Etsanoa, strange petroglyphs, giants, mounds, stone walls, and vanished peoples all remind us that this land once pulsed with life, mystery, and wonder. Each artifact, carving, or whispered legend is a clue, hinting at civilizations and events erased from memory. But the puzzle is far from complete. Perhaps beneath the next plowed field, in the next unexplored cave, or hidden within the Kansas River, lies the discovery that could rewrite history forever. Until then, Kansas keeps its secrets close. If you enjoyed this journey into Kansas' unsolved ancient mysteries, make sure you subscribe and join us for more explorations into the past. Because sometimes, the greatest mysteries aren't in faraway lands. They're right beneath our feet, waiting to be uncovered.